All right, we are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Ward 4 virtual town hall series. I'm your councilwoman out here in Ward 4, Nikki Lee. I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening, whether you're joining us right now live or if you're going to watch the replay. I want to thank you for your engagement and participation and spending your valuable time learning more about your city services tonight. So I want to thank you for your participation. I'm excited to be doing this virtual town hall series. When I ran for office, one of my key focus areas was being accessible, getting community input from folks like yourself. And so while I am excited to be able to do these in person again someday, we're going to lean on technology for a little while longer as we make our way through the COVID-19 pandemic, but continue to connect with you all in other ways, such as this town hall tonight. So we started doing these town halls really with a focus on core services. So I'm really excited about our event tonight because we're going to be talking about transportation and mobility. I know that this is an issue that is really close to a lot of us out here in Ward 4 because we're growing, and with growth there are a lot of growing pains as we're trying to have the infrastructure in place to support the growth. So I'm really excited tonight to be able to welcome our Department of Transportation and Mobility Director, Diane Alarcon. She's here tonight and she's going to give us a briefing on all things that are going on related to transportation and mobility in Ward 4. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Diana.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lee. I appreciate it. And thank you for the opportunity for me to be able to be here and share all of the activities that we have going on in Ward 4. And we have quite a bit. So I'm going to just start it. I'm going to jump into it. So I just real quick, I wanted to provide a map that kind of outlines Ward 4. I'm sure everybody's familiar with it, but I just wanted to understand I'm going to be focusing in on projects that are happening within the Ward 4 boundary. So some projects that we recently completed and we're actually really excited about is we did Kolb and Valencia Road. That was actually completed in August, a year ago. That was done through the RTA dollars that were available. And that was quite an exciting project and one that saw a lot of pre-planning to get to the finish line. So we were actually really excited. We also completed the Union Pacific Railroad Bridge to I-10. I actually drove that on Saturday, so and I was excited to be part of the ribbon cutting ceremony. And again, this was also another RTA project that was sponsored, so we were able to deliver 2 of the RTA projects in 2019 last year. And then of course our Prop 101, which is our half-penny sales tax that is for the city of Tucson, and we want to say thank y'all for this opportunity. We actually completed a lot of the delivering better streets with a Fox Hill package last May, and that included, and you can see the list there, but 22nd, Bilby, Drexel, Forest Glen, the Halton Road, Poorman Road, Meadow Willow Trace, and 7 Generations Way. So we were really excited about getting all of that done. For you. And again, that's part of our Prop 101, which is Tucson delivering better streets. And so thank you to everyone for those dollars to allow us to improve the streets. So some street maintenance, we also did we took some money out of our HERF fund that we have and did some street maintenance projects and just want to kind of share them with you. And that was in the Redding Hill neighborhood, which is Halton Road and Escalante, excuse me. We did a double chip seal and a fog seal. We completed that last May. Sorry, I have a puppy in the background, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time because, and I have treats, I'm bribing him. So when you hear him bark, I apologize ahead of time. We also had Monument Vista neighborhood, which was 22nd and Melpomene Way. I hope I'm saying it correct. And that was a single chip seal with the fog seal that we were completed last April. And Sierra Morado neighborhood, which was a Halton and Drexel Road, we completed that in September. We had hoped that we would get back out this year with in 2020 with some additional street maintenance through the HERF funds, but with COVID, I'm afraid our budget is taking a hit. So we've had to trim back and we haven't been able to continue our in-house chip seal or fog seal program at this time, but I'm hoping that the dollars will start rebounding in HERF, that we'll be able to maybe look at doing some later on in the fall, but I mean, not in the fall, in the spring. But we won't be able to do any in this fall like we were hoping, and so that's a bit sad for me. But I was excited that we were able to get out, and we were actually able to get out into some of the neighborhoods last year out in Ward 4. So some upcoming projects with Prop 101 that we have coming on, and again, Prop 101 is the half-penny sales tax. That was a 5-year half-penny sales tax that generated $225 million, which $100 million of it went toward better streets, and the other $125 million went toward police and fire safety. And just to let you know, of that $100 million over the 5 years, so roughly $20 million a year, 60% are dedicated to arterial roads and 40% is going to local roads. And the 40% on local roads was to be divided evenly among all of the ward offices. So if you think about that with 6 wards and basically of the 100 million, you know, and dividing that into 20 million and then taking 60% of that, we roughly have $8 million a year. You divide that, it's really roughly about $1.2 million for every single ward per year, and $1.2 million can actually can sometimes only cover one neighborhood. So I just wanted to put that in that context. So Olive Grove is one that's actually going to be under construction in October. That's bounded by Kolb Road in Irvington, the Northeast Quad. It's in our package 3, which is out to bid. It'll be making improvements, construction improvements on 6.82 lane miles. We're also going to be out in October in Rancho del Esta and Camino Real Estate. And again, that's part of our package 3, which is actually out. And we'll be starting construction in 2020 for that. That'll cover 12 lane miles. And then the last one is Valley View East, which is in the planning. It'll be part of package 8, and it'll be out in FYI 22. So we got some coverage that we're doing out there, still continuing under Prop 101. So your half cent is working in your community. Some arterial projects that are coming up within your community. So again, as I had shared, we get 20 million a year, 100 million over the 5 years, and part of it goes to arterials and then part of it goes to local roads. So under the arterial package, we will actually be doing reconstruction of Camino Seco between Golf Links and Irvington, Mel Palme Way, which is between 22nd and Calle Catalina, 22nd Street between Holton Road and Los Reyes to Mel Palme Way. And that's actually going to be in FYI 2021. So that'll be happening next year. So I'm excited. We're going to be doing some of the main arterial roads, and I know they need them out there. So we're excited that, again, that we're able to deliver on the Prop 101. And that's a total reconstruct. So let me just break that down a little bit for you. A total reconstruct is where we're actually pulling up the asphalt and relaying the base and then putting back down asphalt. So you're getting a whole new road being built. And if we properly maintain it, we should expect anywhere from 30 to 35 years out of that roadway moving forward. And we plan on maintaining them as we move forward from this point. We're also going to be doing a mill and overlay on Pantano Road between Broadway and 22nd. That'll be occurring. And then fog seals, which is really more of a maintenance side of the house. So we've made these some investments in roads in the past. And again, we want to make sure we can maintain them so we can get that 30 to 35 year life out of them or more, because a lot of it does depend on the weather and the amount of rain that we get. So we have a list of all the different fog seals that are going to be occurring. So that will add to a better feel on the road for everyone as well. And as you can see, we're touching quite a lot of streets: 22nd, Old Spanish, Escalante Road. It looks like the whole section of Escalante, Irvington, Cobb, Nicaragua, and Valencia as well, and 22nd at the bottom, Krakow. So we're going to actually get a lot covered under the fog seal program. So a lot of things happening in FYI 21 and 22 next year. We're going to be out there with a lot of projects. So, you know, please bear with us. Pardon our construction mess, but we're out to deliver better streets to everyone. All right, so I want to also share with you some additional upcoming capital projects. And again, this is part of the RTA project, which was a voter approved half penny sales tax that was actually voted on back in 2006, and that expires in 2026. So we're actually getting ready to start the last 5 years of the RTA projects, and that's what's on. So we have Halton Road, which is the Mary Ann Cleveland Way to Valencia, and that's going to be starting construction next month. And so we actually are going to be holding a virtual pre-construction meeting the week of September the 14th. Very important. We'll be sending out, we'll be sharing with the ward office all the information, how to get on it. Will be a virtual meeting, but we'll be providing that information. We invite you to come in. There'll be an opportunity to ask questions about some of the construction, and we're excited about that. We're also have Halton Road from Irvington to 22nd, which we're anticipating that construction will be in 2022. So back to back, and I'm apologizing ahead of time for construction, but it also means we're delivering better streets for you. So I'm excited about that. I always say the best construction is when it's over. And then of course, Harrison Road is another one from Gulf Links to Irvington. That's anticipated to be part of the last, phase of the RTA. But please understand, under Halton and under Harrison, we are in design. So we've actually started design on the Halton from Irvington to 22nd, and we're getting ready to kick off Harrison. So we'll be reaching out to the community as we go through these projects in the design phase to get them ready for construction. And so some Prop 407s. Once again, we want to thank y'all for a half penny on supporting Prop 407, which is our Parks and Connection. And we were lucky to get some dollars as part of the Prop 407 to make some improvements. We actually had a public meeting the week before last on the Mary Ann Cleveland Way shared use path. And I was really excited to hear some of the feedback that we got from the community. So thank y'all for coming out and participating and sharing. We do want to build what y'all would like to have in your community. And we want to make sure that whatever we build, we're building that right extension. I like to tell my staff what we need to do is be building and extending everybody's front porch. So it's important that we're really listening to what the community wants and trying to maximize those dollars as much as we can. And then we also have the Andrew Street Bicycle Boulevard, which is about 1 mile on Swan Road to Craycroft. It's a 6-mile project, and it's part of it is located in the ward, but it also crosses over into Ward 2, Ward 5, Ward 6. So it's all together at 6 miles, but about 1 mile is going to fall in Ward 4. So we're looking forward to having that conversation with y'all. That's going to be kicking off and starting in the planning stage here pretty soon. And we're really excited. I'm not sure if y'all are aware, but the city was very successful in getting a bond. And our council actually allowed us to start a lot of these projects ahead of time. And then we were able to get a very good bond for practically 0 pennies on the dollar. So we're advancing a lot of the projects. So projects that would have been done over the period of 4 years, we're now collapsing and are going to do in 2 years. So we're busy, we're moving, and we're excited about delivering, again, really great projects and great streets to you. So some of the things that we're working on, understanding that we do need to continue to have the conversation with y'all about how to build capacity out there in your community so that everybody can move. But one of the things that we are looking at is how can we use our traffic signals to actually improve capacity on the roadway and allow for better traffic flow. So some of the things that we're doing is we're actually upgrading some of the intersections. We are looking at what crashes are occurring and why they're occurring, and then we're looking at applying some of the best traffic signal practices. So you may see out there, a flashing yellow, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So a flashing yellow is that it's no different than a yellow. And yellow means stop and proceed with caution and make sure that you properly yield to whoever has the right of way. A flashing yellow means the same thing, but what it does allow you to do is instead of being on a protective red, which you can't move, it allows traffic to move. I'm sorry, the puppy is tagging me. So we wanted, the flashing yellow allows us to actually get more input through the intersection, as where if we have a red arrow, which is a permanent red, you can't move. And so again, we're about looking at how we can safely move folks. And we're finding that flashing yellows actually is a good process to use in allowing that capacity and that traffic input. But we do ask people that you please stop, proceed with caution, and be respectful of yielding to the appropriate right of way, just like a standard yellow. So some of the places where we currently have existing flashing yellows, and y'all are probably aware of that, is out on Cole Road, Holton, and also on Kolb at 22nd Golf Links and Valencia. Where we're going to be adding this capacity is everything that you see. We've actually got the funding identified, so we're going to be adding a lot of this capacity. We're going to continue to study it. We actually applied for grants to get the upgrades to the traffic signals. We were successful in getting the grants, which we're really excited. A lot of our traffic signals is actually very dated and old. We're very challenged with it. And so we have to upgrade the whole system in order to get some of this great technology. One of the things that we're really looking at and we're pushing and defining right now is how we move to what I refer to as adaptive signalization, which is where we're going to operate the traffic signals on real time, and it's based on queuing. So it actually is a software piece that reads cars that sit in a queue. And if you, so for instance, if you have no cars coming east-west and you're moving north-south, it's going to move because it's going to read the queue and it's going to go with it. So you're no longer sitting there and going through a 3-minute cycle time, which is typically what happens at our traffic signals today. But that's where the yellow, really, the flashing yellow come in, because it allows where you would typically be sitting through the 3-minute cycle, it's going to allow you to move. But again, we ask you stop, proceed with caution, and yield to the right of way appropriately. And so we have quite a few, over 10 new locations that we're going to be adding. So please look for those improvements. But this is just the beginning. We're not stopping here. We're going to work on getting to real-time adaptive signalization. And also the next great thing in technology is, you know, what we refer to as connected vehicles. And there's some great technology behind that, and that provide great safety measures as well between the car, the signals, even someone who may be walking or biking and on their cell phone. It all connects so that you make sure a collision or a crash does not occur. So we're really excited about the future. And we're looking forward to it, and we're going to continue to go after these types of fundings that are available so that we can continue to make these type of improvements in our community. Oops. So I think I've covered quite a bit. I appreciate you giving me some time. I wanted to throw up real quick some ways to find out information. You know, if ever you have a complaint, I'm really sorry, I'm going to grab the puppy in a minute so y'all know what I've been tagging with. Please send us an email at tdotconcerns@tucsonaz.gov or give us a call at 791-3154. We want everything, graffiti, a tree down, a pothole, and I hate to say potholes, but that is our reality. And also, you know, just you would like for us to weed the intersection or weed the median. We want to hear all about that. And that's a good way to get in touch with us. We log everything into a task order system, and we will get it in the system and get it going for you. But you can also find out more about our Prop 101, Deliver Better Streets, and that should actually say Prop 407 on Parks and Connection. Please use these websites to find out more information. And then, of course, you know, we were very excited. We had a chance to work through some of your neighborhood block leaders on Move Tucson. Move Tucson is actually our overall planning program that we're going through on developing a balanced transportation system for the city of Tucson. You know, when I first came on, everyone said, Diana, why Tucson? And I said, Tucson has great bones, but we need to plan it. What I found when I got here is we had a little bit of everything, but nothing looked at holistically. So that's what Move Tucson is. And it's about what is that next 20 years of transportation projects and what does that need to look and feel like? And that's from cars to transit, to bicycle, to people, to sidewalks, to lights, to pedestrian amenities, to the landscaping, to the green infrastructure. It's everything that balances our transportation system. So I ask that you please jump on any of those websites, or please, you know, give us a call at TDOT Concerns, or also email us. And again, I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to share this with you. And I'll hang around for any questions that anybody might have.
Amazing. Thank you, Diana. Even though you and I and my team ran through some of this stuff to prepare for this, I still had some additional things that popped into my head, but I have access to you all the time. So I want to make sure that all of our guests here have opportunities to get their questions answered. And then if we have time, I will throw mine out there. But first, to the team, do we have some questions for Diana or myself?
We do. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Fantastic. So the first question is actually for Diana, but I noticed she just stepped away.
I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sounds good. No worries. The first question, Diana, is why don't we have curbs and nice landscaping on Houghton Road like in all of the other wards?
So I wasn't here when the design was done. Can I just put that out real quickly? But from what I understood at the time when it went through the design and we were working with the community wanted to maintain somewhat of a rural feel. And so that's why it was determined not to put curbs in. I will tell you from a stormwater perspective, as we move forward and we talk about that balanced transportation system, I will highly recommend curbs because it allows us to better manage the flow of water and create a better stormwater system so that we have less water on the roads when we do get rain. And yes, I'm raining, knocking on wood, it does. But that's how it was explained to me. So, but as we move forward, I will be making the recommendation of curbs so that we can build the appropriate stormwater system that we need to.
Great. The next question, this one's for you, Diana. You know, the majority of these in the beginning are for you. So let's see. The next question is, the Golf Links and Houghton intersection is a bottleneck. It is constantly backed up and the design isn't good trying to get into the gas station and Walmart. When will that be improved?
So that was at Golf Link and Houghton?
Yes, Golf Links and Houghton intersection. There's a Walmart there and a QT there.
CVS.
Yep, and I believe it's part of the 22nd to Irvington Houghton Road improvement.
Okay, so I'm not 100% sure. Mike, do you know when that's actually programmed, what year that's programmed? I know it was on one of the slides. But we will definitely, I'm making a note too, we'll definitely take a look at it because that has not come up on my radar yet. And this is the first time I'm hearing any complaints about it. But there's a couple things we'll do is I think it's supposed to be in one of the RTA project constructions that we're getting ready to kick off in the next 4 years. But I'll also go ahead and have my traffic engineers take a look at it and see if we can do something about the traffic signals today to maybe help with the bottleneck and the issues and the problems.
Okay, great. All right, the next question. There's a lot of broken sidewalks and sidewalks in disrepair. How is the process to repair sidewalks handled, and will sidewalks be added to places that don't even have them at all?
So that's a two-part question. So currently under Chapter 25, the adjacent property owner is actually responsible for the sidewalk. So we if we get a complaint and it is considered a very high hazard area, we'll actually send a notice of violation to the property owner and ask them to make the appropriate repairs to the sidewalk. Now let me share something with y'all real quick right now. We are doing a sidewalk pilot program. So if you receive a notice of violation for a sidewalk repair, we will actually give you also a pamphlet because we're actually partnering with the neighbors and with the community and the property owners and the cost of actually repairing the sidewalks. And what I mean by that is that we'll come out and we'll do the sidewalk repairs and we'll cover the labor. All you have to do is cover the concrete materials in the form for the sidewalk. So if you get a notice of violation, you should get a pamphlet about our sidewalk program. Call us and we'll partner with you, and because we do want to get sidewalks repaired. Now for the second part of that question is about how about where there is no sidewalks. That's where Move Tucson comes into place, and on the website movetucson.org you can actually go back and you can say, I would like to see sidewalks along this road from this point to this point, and we'll actually put it in the plan and look at how we can prioritize that and how we would over the next 20 years we could look at getting that funded. So that's getting into the Move Tucson, where I really want to understand how you want that front part extension of your front porch to look. So I need you to tell me. So please go to movetucson.org and provide us that information.
Great. The next question is, what if my street has potholes or is in need of repair? Who do I contact?
So on this slide under TDOT concerns at tucsonaz.gov is one way you can email us, or you can actually call us at the 791
3154.
Thank you. 3154. Thank you.
And your amazing Erica actually just posted that in the live QA chat. So for those of you guys listening, you can see that right there.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. The next question is, I live off of Camino Seco between Irvington and Golf Links. Is that area going to be redone in the near future? Maybe some sidewalks?
I don't believe it's currently, I know there were sections of Camino Seco that was actually on the plan. Here, let me look. I have it right here. Let me verify.
Yes, Diana, that's a Prop 101.
Thank you. So let me share with you on Prop 101, is that a reconstruct? Yeah, Camino Seco on Golf Links from Golf Links to Irvington is actually a total reconstruct. I'm not sure if we're adding sidewalks, but ADA is now, federal ADA requirements is going to require that if there is some sidewalk connection, we will have to connect them from the beginning to the end. So it is most likely sidewalks will be part of the project as well.
Great. I know it's really dark in the area and I know about the ordinance, but can lights that fit within the ordinance be put in place there? I believe they might be talking about the Camino Seco Irvington area as well.
So I can check and see if there's dollars that were programmed as part of Prop 101 to include lighting. I do not know at this time, but I will find out, and then I can round back and kind of maybe put together some follow-up, maybe a follow-up that can go out in the newsletter under the Councilwoman, some answer to this that's a little bit more deeply dived into the project. But on some of the projects where there's lighting, we've been replacing and providing LED lighting. In other areas, we have not necessarily been adding lighting, but let me do a little bit more digging on this one.
Okay, perfect. The next question, can you talk about the Slow Road project in the area north of Carson Corners near Mark and David?
So Slow Streets. Thank you for asking. So Slow Street was an initiative we kicked off at the beginning of the pandemic, and where we wanted people to be more respectful when they're on the street so that folks can come out and practice proper social distancing. So what we put out there is what could be potential future traffic calming practices, such as chicanes, which creates a meandering road, or speed humps, which would cause you to slow down, or a traffic circle, which would require you to move slower through an intersection so that if families wanted to get out and kind of use the street to play football or kickball or soccer, or just, you know, I know one neighborhood where we did it, they actually did what they called the front porch concert, and they had some folks in their neighborhood who played instruments, and they got together and they actually held a concert one night, and the neighborhood came out and took the street over and actually set up chairs all over the place, and they could practice social distancing, you know, in this pandemic. And that's what Slow Street's about. It's about, you know, sort of extending everybody's front porch and using the street to allow for social distancing, but allowing for the opportunity to get the kids out and have them play, because this pandemic's kept a lot of us at home. And so we wanted to provide some opportunities since the parks were closed and a lot of the amenities are closed. This was a way to allow for that opportunity to happen. So we have actually, the mayor and council actually passed as part of their strategic plan for the CARES dollars. They actually gave us money so that we could purchase the equipment. We are actually still doing Slow Streets. We put it out to the community as a whole. We received over 120 applications, which no one was expecting except for me, I think, and I'm totally excited about. And that'll allow us between now and December 31st, that allow us to probably get out to 20 to 25 neighborhoods. And along with that, make maybe some more realistic improvements if the neighborhood wants. That will continue to force traffic to move a little bit slower on the local streets.
Great. All right, the next question is the road work for Valencia beginning at Houghton to just east of the new intersection of Kolb and Valencia. When will that construction happen? Hopefully not at the same time as the Houghton Road construction. So Erica posted on here, so if this helps, Erica helped. She put Valencia Houghton to Kolb design complete in 2022, construction in 2023. You can learn more. And she has the link there.
Oh, perfect. So we try really hard not to do two things at one time, but this sometimes it doesn't work out that way because the dollars are programmed to be spent in a certain year. And sometimes, unfortunately, I do have an RTA project that will overlap a Prop 101. But I do try to, and we have been moving things around so that we're trying not to impact as much, trying to minimize the impact of the construction project. And I think I said the best part of construction is when it's done.
Right. And I think for clarification, because we do get this question a lot at meetings and calling in and emailing in to Councilwoman Lee, I believe they're specifically asking for the phase of Houghton Road between Valencia and Marianne Cleveland. And if I remember correctly, that's actually going to start construction this fall. Yes. And so if this other one doesn't start in 2023, I don't believe that they're going to overlap, correct?
Correct. So typically those types of projects run for about anywhere from 18 to 22 months, depending on if we have to add a bridge or something that it kind of makes it run a little bit longer. But this was actually staged so that one would follow the other. So we'll be going through the planning and the design of it. And by the time we finish construction on the first part, we'll be ready to start on the second part. The bad thing about that is you're going to be feeling construction for probably 4 years, and you're not going to be able to tell really where it starts and it stops. But when we're done, you're going to have a really nice road.
Perfect. The next question, I understand that the new freeway on-off ramps and bridge work for Houghton Road begin this week. Will this delay the road improvement work on Houghton from Valencia to Marianne Cleveland?
No, it will not. We're still going to be moving forward, but we are actually collaborating with ADOT. Mike Graham, who had jumped on a little while earlier to bail me out, is very involved and is attending their construction meetings to understand the dynamics of the construction and how it might impact us, so that we can both the Department of Transportation and their contractor and our contractor can make sure that we're, again, minimizing impact of the construction projects.
Okay. Next question. I attended the Southeast Regional Council meeting last week, and the county said the city had submitted their RTA projects, but every other jurisdiction hasn't. Every other jurisdiction has. When will we know what projects will be on the list? We have a lot of road widening and new roads out here, and they need to be on the list.
So thank you for that question. So actually, when the decision was made and the date was set for every jurisdiction to submit their projects, it was actually June of this summer. We actually had submitted a letter over to RTA saying we will not be able to meet that deadline because of our Move Tucson initiative. I have been very forthcoming with the RTA from the very beginning that Move Tucson is going to be a very community-driven planning process. And COVID's gotten in the way a little bit, but we committed way back a year ago to them that we would have those projects to them in November. And we're still committed to meeting that November, even though we won't be done with Move Tucson until probably spring of 2021. But again, RTA is a focus in on the regional approach. So most of the projects that we're going to be including will be on the regional. We've got a lot of surveys that have been collected, as well as a lot of input from the different communities. Staff is also going out and meeting with each one of our ward offices to make sure we capture what they're hearing from their constituents, and we'll be putting that together. That information will go to our Complete Street Coordinating Council for approval, and then it'll go before mayor and council before we submit it. So we plan on taking that to the mayor and council in the first meeting in November of the priority list that we're going to be submitting to the RTA. There is some limitations. RTA is asking us to only submit over $600 million worth of projects. And so basically they're giving us 3 5-year periods in the next 20 years. And 200 million is what we get for every 5 years. And one of the things that was actually recently discussed was there was a transit study that was done that looked at adding additional transit time on nights and weekends. That cost of that additional transit was around 35 million. So if you can, a year. So if you can just imagine, if 200 million is what I'm supposed to produce for a 5-year period, my 35 million in transit eats up the whole 200 million. So we have to have a little bit more dialogue because, you know, we're a big city, we're most of the region, and we want to make sure that we put really smart, healthy projects into the next RTA. But we will be submitting and have it into the RTA by November 30th, as we had committed to them over a year ago.
All right, great. Where can I report junk cars on the street in my neighborhood?
So TDOT concerns at tucsonaz.gov, or you can give us a call at 791-3154. So again, TDOT concerns, anything, send it in to us. If it's not in our scope of work, we'll get it to the right folks so that it gets handled, and we'll let you know what we're doing.
Great. Now we are getting a ton of the same question, and so if it's okay with everybody out there, I'm just going to ask it the one time, and hopefully this next question is going to capture all of it. But this is a very, they've asked it a lot. Mary Ann Cleveland Road still needs further improvements. Then what is planned? How is this being prioritized? We need a wider road, walking on the south side of Mary Ann Cleveland, extending beyond Atterbury Wash, etc.
So we do have the shared use path, which is part of the Prop 407. So that's one of the things that we're looking at, and that is on Mary Cleveland Way from Halton to the Atterbury Wash. So that's that's in design now. And then the other part of that, we're actually looking at that being part of the next RTA, as far as that capacity growth and expansion, as well as quite a few other roadways out in the Ward 4 area.
Great. The next question, I'm actually going to go to a question that was asked for Councilwoman Lee. And then I know that Councilwoman Lee mentioned that she had some questions to ask too, so we'll give her that opportunity. The next question, it says, Councilwoman Lee, how are your plans to handle the expected growth in your ward in the coming years of your term?
Well, I'm really excited about the opportunity that comes with the growth. So that's something that I really identified early on that makes me excited about our ward and the potential. I think it's really about understanding the strengths that we have out here, anticipating the growth. We work very closely with the development community to understand what the vision and the plans are. So it's really communicating that and staying really close to the pulse of what's happening out here and making sure that we're communicating that. For example, we also attended the Southeast Regional Council meeting and learned about a new very large development that's going to be happening outside of the city limits. And my team immediately came back and made sure that the city was aware of that development, because that will impact the need to have additional capacity going out that direction on city roads. So that's something that we're always looking out for and making sure that we're communicating that back so that we're at the front end of those conversations. So ear to the ground.
Great.
Teresa, you wanted me to ask, I can ask real quick because I'm sure there are a lot of other questions. Diana, one of the things that I found interesting when you and I have talked before that I thought folks might find interesting as well is just how the department has had to adapt to COVID. I know that people are driving, the behavior is different for people using the roads, and you guys have been able to do some really cool things. So I was wondering if you might be able to talk just a little bit about how COVID has impacted the department and what you guys have been able to achieve when you look at it kind of as the opportunity that's created for you guys.
Well, thank you for that. You know, you're absolutely right. We've seen like huge changes in the traffic patterns since COVID has hit. But and when we sort of, as a city, went into a lockdown, our team kind of took advantage of that and said, hey, there are some areas we've been wanting to make some improvements, some efficiency. So TDOT concern is an area where we were actually able to use technology and create a task order system. And that's why I keep saying, please reach out to us on TDOT concerns at tucsonaz.gov or give us a phone call, because that's a task system and we'll email you back a task order number. Sorry, that's a puppy. A task order number as well as a estimated completion date, and then we'll follow up when we actually get the work done. And this has been really helpful for us, because one of the things that has impacted us due to COVID is I have lost about 30% of my working staff throughout the COVID at different times. So the team has really been able to use that system to stay streamlined and be efficient. We'll get to everything. We may not get to it as quick as we typically have in the past, but it's allowing us to make sure we're not dropping the ball. We're getting to the projects. We're meeting our neighbors' needs. We're meeting the community needs, and that we're able to stay on top of things. And I'm really proud of the team, because we've seen shifts where people were only calling in potholes to now where we're getting, more complaints about changing street signs and fixing street lights. And hey, my neighbor's grass is weeds are overgrowing and it's not, and our community doesn't look good, and so it's, we're getting those types of things that are helping all of us actually, and it's helping us as well improve some of those areas. So there's a lot of great things. Sad things. COVID's been difficult, but it's allowed us some really good opportunities to improve. So thank you for that question.
Great.
Yes.
The next question. With the thousands of homes being built in Rocking K in the county, the traffic will substantially increase on all of the old Spanish Trail feeder roads, Escalante, Valencia, and Marianne Cleveland. What is the plan to improve and add additional lanes to those roads in the city?
So there is I currently have staff looking at that, and as part of the RTA Next, we're looking at the potential traffic impacts and future traffic volumes that will hit on the roads. And that will be part of the plan moving forward on the RTA Next project list. So we're looking at all of that and building that in. And if it doesn't meet the priorities of the RTA Next, it'll definitely be in Move Tucson. So we're really taking, that's the reason why we wrote to RTA and said we need until November, because we need to make sure we get that feedback from the community and we're hearing what y'all want, and we make sure that we're building that into, whether it's the RTA Next or whether it's in Move Tucson, we're getting it properly prioritized and addressed.
All right, next question. Hi there, I live off Houghton and notice speed racers and speeding in general on that road. What can be done about that?
Well, I'll put the cops out there for you and ask them to, if you can shoot me an idea of the times you're seeing it, we'll actually look at doing some, what I like calling target enforcement. And, this is part of our 5-year safety plan that the mayor and council actually approved. And we are actually working very closely with our police department, on, this little puppy is really getting rambunctious, sorry y'all. We work very closely with the police department on practicing, those safety elements. So if we are having a speeding issue, we will actually put out some radar signs that will tell you you're speeding, which collects data. And that data gives us the idea of when the speeding's happening, what speed is happening, so that we can actually go out and do some target enforcement. But it also acts as a reminder to folks that, hey, the speed limit's 40, you're doing 50, you need to slow down, or you're doing 60, you definitely need to slow down. And so on those type of streets, because Halton is actually looked at as an arterial road, it is meant to move traffic at a little bit of higher speed, but we want them to move safely. But it doesn't give people who have an open road the right to be moving out there above the speed limit that's posted. So let us know, just shoot us out there. I'm going to make a note about Halton Road, but give me an idea of the time, and I am going to look at getting some radars out there that we can actually look at and collect some data of when it's happening, and then work with our police department on doing some targeting enforcement.
Fantastic. And folks, you guys can always email us at the Ward 4 email, ward4@tucsonaz.gov. Next question, why don't we have consistency with the traffic lights? Some intersections have lagging green arrows, some have the flashing yellow, some have the green arrows before green lights. It's very inconsistent.
I agree. And we're trying to move toward a consistent traffic signal, the adapted signal programming that I had mentioned. Money is the issue. I need to change out pretty much the entire traffic signalization program. We recently did a study of what that would cost, and it's roughly around $55 million. So it really comes down to money. So again, we go after grant opportunities that allow us to make these improvements. Unfortunately, I haven't found a grant that's going to give away $55 million, but when I do, trust me, I will go for it.
Great. How are complete streets getting implemented on the east side? We shouldn't have roads wider for roads. Cars already have too much space. We need to take care of the bicyclists and pedestrians.
Well, thank you for that question. So I'm really excited. As a matter of fact, when I jump off of here, I'm jumping into a complete street coordinating council meeting, virtual meeting that we're holding tonight. And I'm really excited about it because that's part of also Move Tucson. But I will tell you, as we're moving forward today, when we're doing our projects, whether it's an RTA project, or even if it's a Prop 101 project, even our Prop 407s, we are looking at through the complete street lens. And we're saying, do we really need a 14-foot lane for cars to move, or can we make it 11 feet so that it's designed to meet the speed limit that we want to post? Unfortunately, in the past, a lot of our travel lanes are built to have a higher speed movement, and they weren't built for the actual posted speed limit that's up, but we're doing that now. And it'll take a while, but it's catching up. So you're going to start seeing a lot more as the construction projects move forward. You're going to see a lot more of that, where you're going to see a little bit tighter lanes, where will allow us to expand a little bit on the pedestrian bicycle amenities. It'll allow for us to put in some shade trees, so it's a lot more comfortable of a visit. It allows us to, you know, promote all of those other modes that we're trying to get built within the city of Tucson.
Great. The next question is very similar to this one. How is the city planning for a more sustainable future where our city isn't predominantly wasted road space? So you answered a lot of that there.
And complete streets is a great way to do it, because it really does look at the other modes, and it looks at it. And I will tell you, you know, part of that is also what are those sustainable practices. So for example, we are replacing all of our street lights and putting in LEDs, so we're being energy efficient. So we look at road improvements that we're doing and what sustainable practices can we apply. Some of our asphalt that we use is actually made with recycled plastic, and we're getting ready to test another type of asphalt with another company to see how their plastic will hold up in the asphalt out here in the Arizona temperatures. So we are looking at where we can actually provide, you know, and be part of that footprint improvement on keeping stuff out of the landfills.
Great. And I know personally that that's very important for Councilwoman Lee. So in this next question, or comment, I should say, is for her as well. So Councilwoman Lee, thank you, council member, for communicating the road projects upcoming. I actually heard you speak last week and read your article in the paper.
Awesome. Well, Teresa, you're correct. I have a sticky note that was about innovation and different surfaces and testing. So Diana, you touched on that item that I was hoping to ask you about as well. So innovation, how we can do things better, is really exciting to me. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity to use technology innovation to do these types of forums, to communicate with everybody, to iterate on how we can make roads last longer, get more value out of how we're spending our taxpayer funds. So I appreciate that feedback, and I appreciate whoever is asking these great questions about the sustainability and innovation. That's my jam. I think that's what the cool kids say now. So that's it.
Great. Diana, this next one's for you.
Okay.
There has been drastic changes in the community now. A lot of new homes in the past 2 to 3 years in the area, and flowing traffic on Marion Cleveland. Really need more attention for safer walkways and bike lanes on the Houghton Road, Marion Cleveland, Valencia, and nearby areas.
Yes, I agree with all of that. And I think that's where we need to really, again, I got to push the Move Tucson. Because that's where I know that we've actually targeted a lot of that area that we've looked at. That needs to be some of the improvements that we actually make. We've built them into Move Tucson, but I just got to continue to encourage that y'all please go to movetucson.org, go look at the interactive map, make sure that some comments have been made that include the lighting, the sidewalk, even a shared use path if that's the direction you want to go in, or bicycle lanes if that's what you want. Make sure that as a community or as an individual, you're letting us know so that we can make sure that we build that in as part of our prioritization list. And again, a lot of this, when even some of the road improvements or even new roads that we're even considering building out in Ward 4, we're doing everything through the complete street lens.
Great. And is the Move Tucson still up and running where they can put their comments in, or has that time passed online?
Actually, I got a note today that says it's been closed, and I wrote back and I said, why have we closed it? And I'm waiting on an answer. So I'm looking to open it back up, Teresa, because what is closed is the survey. We had to close that to move on, but I didn't think we were going to be closing our interaction map yet. But I did get an email, so I got to get a little bit more clarification on that. But even with that, if you go to it, you can still look at the map. You can still see what comments have been made, what's been added, and then you can shoot us an email and let us know. And we'll be happy to add it, because the reason why I asked the question today is because I added something today based on a conversation I had with another constituent. I said, oh, that's really good. I need to make sure that's in Move Tucson. And I went to go put it on the map and I couldn't activate it. And I'm like, why is the map not working? And that started that question. So I'm looking to open the map back up, but nevertheless, I'm real easy to get a hold of. It's Diana at .Alarcon at TucsonAZ.gov, and Alarcon is spelled Alarcon, and Diana is Diana. Please shoot me an email. I want to hear from you.
Great. And that was actually a question from Mr. Wyruth earlier, so that's perfect. Let's see, there's construction planned to widen the street. So there's construction planned to widen the street by the Fries on Houghton and Rita Road. Yes, that is correct. It's the next phase of Houghton. That's going to start in the fall. Brian, let's see. There was a request made for the roads in the same Mark and David area. The roads really do resemble cobblestone roads because of the deteriorating asphalt. What can be done for this?
Well, I hate to share with everyone, but one of the things, I've been here a year and a half, and one of the things I looked at was, because I got here and I did get a lot of great feedback from the community about the conditions of everybody's local road. So I pulled the team together and I said, what's going on? What's going on with the roads? And right now, 77% of our roads are actually in failed conditions. And that equates to, if I wanted to and when you have a failed road, you really should do reconstruction. Because at this point, it's not only the road that's failing, the asphalt, it's also the base that's failing. That equates to about $660 million if we just talk about local roads. If we want to throw all the arterial roads and collectors on top of that, we're at $1.1 billion. Well, that's a bit of the challenge. So right now, part of the stuff that we're working on as staff is we don't have $660 million. We need to be touching local roads. Prop 101 is giving us some dollars, allowing us to make improvements, but again, we're barely even dropping anything in the bucket. So it's about going back, Councilwoman Lee, to what are some sustainable practices that we can apply that may allow us to use to give us longevity in the roads and kind of move that 77% out, so we're not in this unsustainable financial bind, as well as we don't have as many failed roads. So we're out practicing and partnering with other companies and businesses and testing some of those sustainable practices that also have a great benefit of keeping trash out of the landfill, and it allows us to have some cost savings on the actual delivery of the product. So we're testing some of that, and we're really looking forward. We've actually got 2 of the products down, and they're looking really good. It costs 1/3 of the price of what I would pay. And we're now figuring out how do we take our dollars and best appropriate them and use them to spread the bucket out, because I'm not going to get $660 million, but I have some dollars. So what's the best way to use them so that we can get more bang for our buck? But it'll continue to be a challenge for us because we just have a lot to do and a little bit and not enough money to get it done. But I'm up to the challenge and we're trying to figure it out, and we'll continue the conversation.
Great. I'm going to skip ahead a moment, Diana, because I think you're going to like this one. It's from Sue. She'd like to see your puppy. She says she loves animals almost more than people, and it sounds like your puppy might want to visit with us.
Oh my goodness. This is Chato. He's a Scottish Terrier. He's 10 months old, and we're usually out for a walk about this time at night, so he's a little rambunctious. He's now chewed a hole in my shoe, and not to mention my sock. But he is my partner in crime, and I adore him. And he's out of breath because I threw a ball and he went chasing it. So this is Chato. Say hi to everybody. Now you can bark.
He's adorable.
Thank you.
He's very happy. He can stay there. The next question is, when will the city get more public transportation on the east side so we aren't so reliant on personal vehicles?
So actually, I really appreciate that question as well. You know, one of the things we're challenging our staff right now is to look at transit, and the way transit is working is this the best way to be doing transit? And so with COVID, unfortunately, we've seen a drop in ridership. And so what I'm saying, you know, maybe we don't need as many fixed routes. Micromobility is really a way to look at providing transit. You can create that by what we refer to in a micromobility arena as an on-demand service. It's based on identifying an area and having the transit work in that area, and then connect to a major fixed route line. And what that'll allow us to do is we don't need the big buses anymore. We can go with a smaller bus that's actually, you know, electric driven. So again, another energy, sustainable, efficient practice. And it allows us to do a little bit more personal service. And it also gets back to using the technology of our cell phones. So you can ask for a ride, get picked up, dropped off at a station, and then you can go. And so we're actually getting ready to bring to council to experiment with 2 on-demand services in Ward 5 and Ward 1. And if we're successful with this, which we really feel, you know, hopeful about it, we're going to look at really revamping the entire transit system that will give us the opportunity to have those dollars. So I think I mentioned earlier, the study that was done said we needed $35 million more to extend to nights and weekends. Well, I don't think we really need that, and I don't think that's really the best way to go. I do think we need nights and weekends, but I don't think it needs to be what the current system is today. So we're in the process of making these changes. There is federal guidelines we have to follow to do it. So it's not as if we can go, oh, we're going to try this and we're going to try this. Unfortunately, we can't do that. We have to follow the federal requirements that are out there. So we're doing it, and I'm really hopeful that this pilot program will be very successful, and that we can then take it to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, that over the next, 12 to 24 months, we can start really seeing some changes in the transit system as a whole that will be a benefit for the community as a whole, and that way we can look at expanding the service and meeting the needs out in Ward 4 and out in Ward 2, where we're actually do a poor job of providing that transit service.
Great. Well, we are getting close to finalizing this, so we're going to go ahead and put it over to Councilwoman Lee if she'd like to say anything. And just so you know, there was a couple thank you comments that came in. So thank you guys for everything you guys are doing here tonight.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, well, that is where I want to start my closing remarks, is with a lot of thank yous to my team for making this happen tonight, and making sure that this can make it out to our constituents now and in the future if they're not able to join. And thanks to Diana and her team for preparing this presentation, being available for questions tonight. And again, thanks to everyone who participated. Lots of great questions. Sue, I love your question. It's at the top to see the dog? I love that question. So I just want to thank you all for your engagement, and I really appreciate the opportunity to connect with you all tonight. For those that do read the Vale Voice article, spoiler alert, the September article is kind of a different article for me. It's focused heavily on mental health, and so I just want to say, I know there's a lot going on right now. Personally, I feel the stress. I just want to encourage everyone, to look for resources in the community as we're going through a lot of stressful times right now. If you need help with connecting with any resources, definitely reach out to our office and we can help connect you with resources that we're aware of in the community. So I just want to put that out there because I know a lot of us are really feeling that extra levels of stress right now. And then in final closing, September 30th is going to be our next virtual town hall. It will be on the TMC expansion, which I'm really excited about. Having a few children myself, 30 minutes to drive across town when you're in labor can be a long time. So I'm really excited to talk to them and bring that information to the community on what their plans are. So again, we've mentioned it a couple times, but to connect with our office for any concerns that you have is just ward4@tucsonaz.gov. So I want to thank you all for your participation tonight and take care.